Today we're going to talk about engaged maneuvering. Knife fighting is what some people like to call it. Basically, close range maneuvering and firing and offensives combined with defensives in the engagement bubble. So usually I like to think of that as less than 400 meters. So say you did your boom in and you get to your, you're attacking, you get to your CPA and it's like, well, my enemy's doesn't really care that I'm here and there aren't any other threats around me or anything like that, so I'm just gonna stay here because I'm closer, so he's bigger, so he's easier to hit, and he's not firing at me, so why not stay closer and annoy the hell out of him. So that's what engaged maneuvering is all about. So most common thing people do for this is circle strafe, which I can't really simulate quite as well here because it requires the other person to be doing the exact same thing you are in the other direction. But it would kind of look like this, and I'm strafing at him and left, and he's strafing at me and the other direction. And because of that, our velocity vectors are very, very divergent, and it's very difficult to get any hits as long as you're smart enough to dodge out of the way of any fire, because the time of flight of the fire, and you can go back to the offensive maneuvers academics to kind of understand what I'm talking about, is so high that it's just really easy to dodge attacks. So circle strafe is actually a very defensive maneuver, but the problem is it's also very predictable. So in a 1v1, maybe it's kind of broadsiding, but definitely if there are other people in the match, it's a terrible idea. So engaged maneuvering, what I want people to get more comfortable with is maneuvering a lot closer to the enemy. So free flight is a good place to do that. I know the platforms are stationary, so it makes it a lot easier, but this will get kind of your muscle memory down for that, and will help you out a lot. So rolling and strafing is kind of what I espouse here, and there are actually a few schools of thought here for how to do this. Now, the first thing I'm going to say is one thing you can do is you can just kind of do little mini boom and zooms. So it's sort of you're taking turns. When he's pointed at you, then you're pretty defensive. You're maneuvering around him kind of like this. And then what you're going to do is, once you get out of the way of his bullets or lasers or whatever, but you see him, kind of trying to reacquire, you can just sort of boom in real quick, do a quick pass, and then do your normal button hook or lead roll or lag roll or whatever you choose to do for your CPA maneuver. So let's say, I'm strafing around and he's starting to look like he's going to point at me, so I can just like boom in real quick like that. So I just took my strafe out, and then that actually wasn't a good example because I didn't stay pointed at him, but it's like for a button hook. So let's say, let me get back into my orbit here. So he's fighting me, and he's starting to get his guns to bear, so I'm just going to take my strafe out, boom in at him, and then now he's on off kilter, or I think Zine calls it on tilt.
AFK, isn't he?
Oh, I got TeamSpeak still on. Yeah, Zine calls it on tilt, but that's like something he's described AI behavior, I think. But it happens to players too. You'll go right past them, and then they don't know where you are, and they're kind of like, you see their nose searching around for you. That's your time to attack. So it's like a cycle here. They're going to be like coming. It looks like they're finally getting their nose on you. You just take out your strafe, boom past them, and then go back into your strafing, rolling it orbit here, and then you attack them. And then they look like they're starting to get their guns back on you, so you take out your strafe, roll right past them. Ooh, I think I just hit another platform. Almost just hit another platform. And then you do that. Okay, cool. So that's one thing you can do, just like little mini boom and zooms, and then re-attack maneuvers. So like the button hook, the lag roll, lead roll type thing, and then resume your attacking. So you just got it. That one's all about timing. So there you go for that. Method number 2, do kind of what I've been doing this whole time, which is I just naturally do it now. I've got analog roll, and people kind of undervalue analog roll, but what I'm doing here is I've got not just my like orbit, but I've also got a roll in, so it's almost like a circle spiral instead of a circle strafe. So like what this does is for people with binary controls, it makes it very hard for them to keep up with this kind of movement because they have to constantly make adjustments. So what you want to do is you want to roll fast enough that their shots are just missing you, and you want to roll slow enough that you can keep your pips on target. So you got to find that balance. It's going to change depending on their ship, your ship, the situation, whether or not he has boost left, how good of a shot he is, what kind of weapons he's using, all that. So you just got to find it for every single fight you do. But it's like you increase your roll until he can't hit you anymore, and then if you're not able to land any shots, you try decreasing your roll. And if by decreasing your roll he ends up getting some shots on you, then you need to try probably the first option, the boom and little mini boom and zoom type thing. So that this is what I do a lot, and it's just kind of nice and smooth. So the idea here is with this one is that your steady movement of your TVI, you can see it off to the left, the steadier that is, the steadier your aiming is going to be, but it needs to be moving 3-dimensionally to evade fire. So okay, this works with most ships, but it requires a lot of patience. So, and obviously it requires analog strafe mostly. Okay. Another thing you can do with this one is you can use the rolling to try to always put your aggressor in a vertical turn. That way he's getting G mechanics and you're not, because you're just strafing laterally, right? So the way you do that is if you see his ship flat, try to put it like straight up and down, so sideways, and that'll, like, you know, maybe make him black out or gray out. That's another good thing you can do by doing this, because this is a nice steady turn, and believe it or not, it's actually the slow turns that cause people to black out more, because when you do a fast turn, there's a physiological reserve built into the game. So if you do a fast turn, nothing happens because it was a lot of G's, but it was only for like a second or two, and nothing bad happens to your avatar. Okay, all right, so next option, and this is not one I really use, it's basically juking. So if you've got high precision aiming, so like a mouse or something, and you know you're like a Twitch player, you like that kind of gameplay, FPSs, then you'll probably like this one. Basically what you're going to do is you're going to use your ship's maneuverability to constantly like juke out of the way. So fire, fire, fire. Some people even like slow to a stop completely. Fire, fire, fire. And then you're just constantly putting in. So if you had binary controls, this might, you know, binary roll and all that, this might be the way to go for that. So it's the same thing as the method 1, you're taking turns, but the way you're handling it is like as soon as he starts to get his nose on you, you just sort of strafe out of the way, fire, 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 strafe out of the way, fire, 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 that kind of thing. So you're focusing on strafing and maneuvering only when he's about to hit you, and this is kind of, obviously you can tell this would be very annoying for him. And then obviously making it unpredictable, so like going different directions, all that kind of thing. One thing, this probably won't work for like a Hornet, obviously, so like, you know, if you've got like an M50 and he's got a Hornet, this would be a good one because there's no way he can turn fast enough. to keep up with you. So that's the kind of gameplay you can get with that. So basically, you juke out of the way. Once they can't see you anymore, you're stopping your juking and you're firing, that kind of thing. And then you can do like combinations. So, you know, you're seeing me do my circle spiral here, and maybe I just sort of like all of a sudden boost right all of a sudden, and then, you know, now I'm firing at him, or I'm doing it, and then I just like stop forward boosting and I go straight past him, that kind of thing. So adding in some of the twitch elements. And the biggest thing is to get into free flight, practice maneuvering like this, get comfortable doing it around a stationary platform, go to Vandal Swarm, do it around the Vandal. Hopefully you've got a somewhat fast ship, otherwise they might be a little too fast to do that. But you know, then try it in multiplayer. So this one takes a lot of, you know, takes practice to get good at this kind of thing. So yeah, and that's pretty much it. That's engaged maneuvering, and let me know if y'all have any questions.